Hello there everyone, how you doing today? I hope you're all well. Welcome back to r/best of Redditor updates, where the Redditors update the best stories there are on the platform, and we get to enjoy the fruits of their labor. Now if you enjoy the stories we have here, remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below, and maybe hype the video. Now without further ado, let's get started, shall we? I, 25 male, bullied my sister's 22 female new boyfriend, 25 male, back in school. I messaged him apologizing for what I'd done and to clear the air. He said no. Now my sister has turned against me. What can I do? I'll start this with, I was a dick as a teenager. I'm from the UK, and the UK, from the ages around 14 to 16, I hung around in a gang, quote-unquote. I did it because I was popular. I would get invited to parties, girls would like me, whatever other reason a teenage kid would hang out with the gang, basically. We were basically a group of jerks to certain people. I don't think we were worse to anyone more than Stuart, though, sister's new boyfriend. We were horrible to him, and we were typical school bullies to the guy. Once I turned 18 and got away from all the bad influences who I'd been told for years were holding me down, and I'd realized I'd been a dick and most of the others of the gang were too, I still speak to a couple of the people, but most of them were cut off, and quite frankly, I'm embarrassed of my actions of when I was younger. My sister Jane went to a different school, as by that point, she and my parents had seen that my school wasn't exactly the best, considering the crowd I got mixed up in. I don't know if Stuart knew I had a sister or not, in all honesty. I have recently moved back to my hometown and met up with my sister for a drink. She told me about her new boyfriend, and I told her when she mentioned his name, the truth that I was a dick to him. So if she's dating him, I'll apologize because I feel bad for my actions. She agreed and told me just to message him on Facebook and he'll be fine. So I did as she'd said and wrote a very long message about how I'm happy for him and my sister, how I'm very sorry for what I did in the past, explained that I know I'll never know how I made him feel, but I am genuine here and don't want any issues with him. He replied saying that I'm a dick, doesn't accept my apology, and blocks me. I thought, fair enough, I tried. I'll try again at a later date when he might be more open to the idea. Red flag number 1 from the reader over here. The narrator thinks that's a red flag. Anyway, because I get it, he doesn't trust me. To him, I'm the dick who bullied him for years. My sister phoned me not long after and started shouting about how horrible I was as a teenager, and that she'll never forgive me for what I did to her boyfriend. That hints to me, the narrator, that you weren't quite honest with how much of an asshole you were when talking to your sister. She listed some things off that he told her. Some of them I admitted to doing because when it happened. Some of them I didn't do but had heard about them. And some accusations I'd never had anything to do with or heard of them happening. I feel for Stuart and want to sort this out with them, not only for feeling bad for doing it, but also to save my relationship with my sister. Okay, relevant comments. A true apology doesn't come from via text or Facebook. It's a face-to-face apology, taking blame and truly being sorry for it. OP says, I offered to meet up with him to say it face-to-face. Another commenter says, if a police officer had seen some of the things you did to Stuart, would you have ended up being arrested? If the answer is yes, then I don't see why he ever has to forgive you. Not me personally, no. My friendship group, maybe. AKA stuff I wasn't involved in. Well, that's a red flag right there. Allison Rages says, because I get it, he doesn't trust me. To him, I'm the dick who bullied him for years. I don't think it's just that, though. You probably did this on a daily basis to this guy for years, and you won't even mention the things you did. He's probably still messed up from it. You did the right thing apologizing, but only you did it because your sister started dating him. That comes across as funny to me if I was Stuart. You made the gesture of apologizing, but now just give him space. OP says, I didn't think it's just that, though. You probably did this on a... Yeah, that's just quoting the commenter. I won't mention things I did for anonymity. It's pretty detailed without me mentioning specific details because then someone could see it. I know my sister uses Reddit and could cause even more problems. You did the right thing apologizing, but only did it because your sister started dating him. That comes across as funny to me if I was Stuart. Yeah, I completely get his point with that, honestly. I couldn't remember how bad we were to him till she brought it up. I've tried to block a lot of things out from my childhood, to be honest. Update. I have to repost this once again since the link wasn't in the original update post. I can't see my original update post anymore, so this will basically be the same, but wrote out differently. People were asking what me and my friends did to Stuart at school, so here's some examples of what I personally did for him. Put items in the local newspaper for sale with his mobile number as the contact number. Ordered numerous takeaway deliveries to his house. Named him after a farm animal. Told the girl he was crushing on all the stuff he had wrote about her in his notebook. I never did anything physically to him because at this time I was being physically assaulted by my mother's boyfriend at the time. This is why I started training in boxing and started lifting weights around this age, to become bigger and stronger to stand up for myself. I always said that I wouldn't harm anyone physically. My friend tied him to a post, stole things, hit him, etc., and I refused to take part in them as I saw it as too far. But at the same time, I didn't realize the mental aspects of bullying were just as bad, if not worse. Wait, does that mean you just stood there and watched other people beat the living daylights out of him? If that's the case, you're just as at fault. Narrator speak over. On to the update. I saw Stuart at a local pub last night. I went to my friends. He originally didn't say anything, and I decided to give him some space because I was advised in the original to leave him alone. When he started getting more drunk, he started making more comments obviously intended to be heard by me. We both smoke and were both outside when he started berating me for my fake apology. I told him it wasn't fake. I meant it, and that I have changed as a person, and that was me as a 15-year-old kid who thought he was cool. The 25-year-old me is embarrassed by that. He said he didn't believe me and would love to deck me right here, there, and then. I told him if he wants to hit me, do it. I would probably deserve it. At this point, I'm outnumbered 3-1, as my two friends are still inside. Stuart hits me, the other two surround him, and even though I'm a big guy who's a trained fighter, it doesn't take a genius to work out that 3v1 usually doesn't work out well for the one. Luckily my friends had heard the noise and got involved to break it up, before I got into any serious damage. The pub owners told us to leave or they'd be involving the police, so we waited till they left and went out the back way to my friend's house. My sister phoned me while I was there, telling me Stuart said that I'd try to start a fight with him, and he put me in my place. I told her no. Stuart tried to start a fight with me. I told him if hitting me would help things, to do it. I get hit every week in boxing practice, so I'm used to it. My friends told her the story of what actually happened, and she wasn't happy. She phoned me again today, now yesterday in the UK, and told me that Stuart admitted what had happened, and now he wanted him and his friends to hospitalize me. She dumped him because she was scared for mine and her safety. My message that I included in the last post at the end caused some controversy, but I'll repeat it. If you are a teenager who's bullying another kid for whatever reason to look cool, to make yourself feel a little better, or whatever else, please stop. You could be partially the reason someone's life could change for the worse. I don't know if Stuart had other problems, but the bullying we did seems to have affected him a lot more than I thought, and I hope I never make anyone feel like that again. Final comments. DK59A. I don't think you can blame yourself for the breakup, even on the events 10 years ago. They chose to use physical violence. You didn't. OP said, he must have a lot of pent-up anger, and I'm partially the reason for that. I hope he gets help for his issues, and wish I could help. But to him, I'm just the guy who bullied him. Yeah, Stuart probably doesn't remember OP as the one who didn't hit him, and probably remembers them all as one group rather than individuals, especially if OP was physically there, but just didn't participate. I could also imagine that Stuart doesn't interact with the other bullies that much, and was releasing all the pent-up anger from all the bullies, including the ones who beat him up and tied him to a pole on OP. Anyway, on to the next story. Me, 31 male, and my girlfriend signed a lease on a new apartment and our roommate is livid. How do we handle this? A little background. My girlfriend, we'll call her Marie, and I have been dating for about 8 months. Things honestly between us are very good. We get along great and she loves my quirks, and I love hers. She has been living with her friend, we'll call him Vern, for 2 years, and they've been friends for about 6 years. I'm a graduate student and she works for the university. And Vern is a manager at a movie theater. For the last year I lived in graduate student apartments and she has lived with him for about 2 years. Marie and I decide we want to live together, so since my lease was up at the end of June, and their lease was up in July, Marie and Vern both decided it was cool if I lived with them for a month, paying my share of the bills. They were intent on moving after their lease was up because Marie wants to be closer to work, and Vern has had multiple run-ins with the neighbors. Marie and I have never had any problems with the neighbors. That part is important, and I'll explain why later. The three of us decided to stay an extra month in the current place at slightly increased month-to-month cost just to get our finances in better order. About at the same time, we had a group discussion and broached the subject of not getting a place together. Vern had said that he was exploring options of living on his own or with other people, as he wasn't sure if he wanted to live with a couple. Marie and I admitted we'd been looking at getting a place of our own without him as well, as we would prefer to live very close to campus, whereas Vern's workplace is kind of on the outskirts of town. This is where we left the conversation, and Marie and I both assumed that we would be getting our own place and he would be getting his own place. Cut to yesterday. Marie had been looking at apartments and found the perfect one for us. It's a 3-minute walk from her work, 5-minute walk from the building, a frequent for the most of class, and about 7-minute walk from the grocery store. It was perfect for us and at a great price too. Well, since it's nearing the end of summer break, here in a fairly large and busy college town, apartments are filling up. The people in the office tell us if we want that apartment, we had to fill out the paperwork that day, so we do. No, we haven't given them any money yet. This was merely to reserve an apartment for the start of September. Marie is very excited about living next to campus, and she posts it to Facebook, as some people do when they're excited. Now, I realize right there, that's a fuck up. We should have told Vern about it before any information ever got to Facebook. That was our bad. I can understand why he's upset, but he's acting very negatively to say the least. A little bit about Vern here, and this is simply my personal observation and is probably biased to some extent, but here we are. He is a very world is out to get me person. He views every single slight in his life as the grandest inconvenience. He constantly complains about his fellow managers, his employers, his customers. He even has many confrontations with our neighbors, mainly over street parking, even calling a police on a few of them because he felt threatened. Maria and I get along fine with the neighbors. To me, he seems very selfish. When Maria and I make dinner, we always ask if he wants some. We're always willing to share food, beer, or whatever. Back in December, Marie was working a hellish 12-hour day at her job and had to come back to get a few things. She saw a Red Bull in the fridge, which happened to be Vern's, and asked if she could have it. He said, "No, it's mine," which is fine and all, but that same Red Bull is in the fridge since last December. It's August now. To me, these events are very telling of who he is as a person. So since he found out yesterday, he is having an absolute meltdown. He's been blasting us both on Facebook, calling Marie a dumb witch, not the actual word, but I don't want to get demonetized on YouTube, and me a fat, lazy butthole, which I am sometimes, but whatever, claiming we stabbed him in the back, leaving him high and dry and so on. The rent is usually due on the 10th, but he told us if we didn't have it by today, the 1st, he would personally kick me out of the house. It also should be noted that he's only sending Marie messages. He hasn't spoken one word to me, since he has a right to be upset, but I don't think he should be this mad about it. Sending threatening messages to Maria and ignoring me completely, saying we had better stay out of his way. He still has a month to figure his stuff out, which I think is plenty of time. Since our last chat about living arrangements a month ago, the subject hasn't been brought up since. Marie and I figured we were going to go our separate ways, and I guess he assumed we would all continue to live together. The worst thing is, we still have a month here in the same place with him. So my questions are ultimately: 1. Does he have a right to be totally livid, or am I being insensitive? 2. Should we, or how do Marie and I handle living in a hostile environment for the next month? And number 3, is this friendship worth salvaging? Just from the narrator's perspective right here, it is not worth salvaging. That man is a lost cause, just saying. I've been with a lost cause before, trust me. I know what a lost cause sounds like, trust me. Update. So, just a quick update on the Vern situation for those of you who have read about it. He hasn't been sending either of us messages lately, but he has resorted to childish guerrilla warfare. When Marie and I were out in the backyard, trimming bushes and pulling weeds, he locked the back door on us so we'd have to walk around to the front to get back in the house. He packed up everything in the kitchen that was his. Fine, whatever. But I'm sure it was for the specific purpose of making sure we didn't touch his stuff. Today he came home from work and is playing the radio so loud we can hear it clearly downstairs and outside. He still refuses to talk to either of us. The one thing I'm afraid of right now is that he's just doing petty stuff to piss us off, but I'm concerned he might escalate his actions. Do we have any legal recourse to take before he does? Update 2. So for those of you following the saga of Vern, things have been pretty steady since the first update. He's still playing his music loud as possible and doing petty stuff around the house. Things did get more serious last night though. He was playing his TV as loud as usual with his door open, and Marie texted him, "Could you shut your door please?" You know, a normal request. Because she wasn't feeling well and needed to get some sleep. He launched into a text tirade at her saying he was going to make our life hell for the next 2 weeks. And we were lucky he, and I quote, didn't put us in body bags. That sure as hell got screenshotted, saved, and backed up, that's for damn sure. She responded, "Whatever, we'll be done with this shit in 2 weeks." To which he responded, "Oh, it's gonna be longer than 2 weeks, honey." But there is good news. We managed to scrounge up enough money and talk to our new landlords, and we're actually moving in 2 days, and we'll have about 4 or 5 friends there, helping and making sure Vern doesn't try anything. Marie did go to the sheriff's office to file a protective order, and she showed him the texts he sent her. They did file a report, but they said because he hasn't done anything physical to us, our property, they can't file an emergency protective order right away. Ah yes, because this man hasn't stabbed me and potentially killed me yet, we can't protect you. This is the legal system, fellas. Sorry, that's just a personal gripe of the narrator right there. They will have an officer on standby when we move. We went ahead and did the paperwork for a normal protective order, which should go into effect in about 3 to 5 days. Oh, and tonight when Marie and I were getting food, he took all the light bulbs from the downstairs room and dumped out all the ice and took the ice trays up to his room. Honestly, this stuff is getting kinda funny at this point. TLDR, Vern threatened us, we got the police involved, and we're moving in 2 days, baby. Relevant comments. Tiaper, what's this Vern guy like with you? I mean, just out of curiosity. If you were just to go to his room and be like, "Why the fuck are you texting my girlfriend all that horrible shit?" how would he react? He sounds like a complete loon, so best of luck to you and your lady moving out. OP says, "Oh, he hasn't even looked at me since all this went down. Not a Facebook message, nor text. He only texts these things to Marie because he knows he can get away with it, I think. He doesn't know me too well. I'm not going to confront him because I know how my temper is, and I have a pretty violent past that took a lot of self-reflection and therapy to get over. So, all in all, it's in my best interest to just ignore him." And then we have our final update. I know some of you were expecting the end of the saga of Vern to be some epic, harrowing story of ass-kickery, vengeance, and redemption. Perhaps disappointingly so, it ends with a whimper, not a bang. The morning after the last update, Vern had disappeared. He had left all his stuff in his room, but there was no sign of him. On Saturday, Marie and I packed up all our stuff, and on Sunday, we with some friends managed to get moved to our new place within the afternoon. As of yesterday, Vern is nowhere to be seen or heard from. Our personal theory is that police called him about the protective order, and he just left town for a few days. We have contacted our former landlord and sent them pictures of the house during move-out, so they know that any damage done to the property would have been done by Vern, not us. We've also told them that we'll come back and clean after Vern vacates the premises. Given how the situation went, we're fairly sure they'll allow us to do that. And in the somewhat short time before he disappeared, Vern smeared shit, presumably his own, all over the downstairs toilet because, what the fuck? So ends the saga of Vern. For now. Alright, I'm going to end today's stories here. If you enjoy this video, remember to check out my playlist for more storytelling videos. We got horror stories, we got Reddit stories, and we also have gaming videos if that's more your cup of tea. You know, like the gaming in the background of these videos. I do some commentary on that stuff, and it's pretty good commentary. I like to think I'm a funny man, so I will see you there. Bye-bye.